It's that time of month, besties. It is time for my June wrap up. Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back, Bookers Besties, to another video. As you can see by the title and by the little intro there, it's time for my June wrap up. I did a lot of reading in June, more than I thought I was going to do. I did do a 48-hour read on the last weekend of June, which you have already seen. That was a video that went up on Friday, so if you've been keeping up, you've seen that video already. But let's hop right into it. I don't want this to be too long because I have 18 books. So as I just said, I read 18 books, which equated to 6,420 pages, and that means I read about 214 pages per day. I'm pretty sure I did read every day in the month of June, or almost every day in the month of June, if not every day. I think I missed 1 or 2 days, but besides that, I read every single day in the month of June. My genre breakdown was 5 volumes of manga, 1 graphic novel, 3 just romances, 7 fantasy romance, 1 mystery, and 1 thriller. There is a very stark difference between the two. You'll see when we get there. And then my average rating for the month, I think, is my lowest so far because I had a 3.5 star raise this month. And so my average star rating was 4.19 star, which, like I said, is pretty low for me because I usually know what I like and I rate books pretty highly because I know what I like. You know what I'm saying? But let's just hop right into the books themselves. Like I said, we have 18 books here. So let's get. The first book that I finished in the month of June was a rollover from May, and that was Twisted Lies by Anna Wong. This is the last book in the Twisted series, which I am finally finished with. Go me, pat myself on the back, and give me a round of applause, all of the above, because I have technically been reading the series since 2021, 2022, somewhere in there when I originally read Twisted Love. And by now, at this point in time where I'm saying I'm finished this, I have read Twisted Love and Twisted Games about 3 times now with the plan of continuing and never did. And then I finally did third time around and I finished the series. I'm giving this a 4.5. I feel like if I had started this at a better time, when I wasn't feeling as slumpy as I was when I started, that this could have been rated higher. I still really enjoyed it. I still loved the fake dating aspect. I love Stella and her learning to fight for herself, basically, stand up for herself. And then Christian just being the steadfast guy that he is and just keeping being there with her through it all. I love to see it. So sad it's over. I'm so sad I don't get more of these characters unless I get little bits and pieces of them in the King of Sin series, but I don't get to read about their love stories for the first time anymore, and it makes me sad. But I'm also really glad that I finished the series. The next book I read was another rollover from May. I started this on my iPad towards the end of May and finished it in June, and that is Plier by Jane Washington. This is the first book in the Ironside Academy series. I'm still kind of iffy on if I want to continue the series or not. I'm pretty sure I gave this book a 3.5 star rating. I liked it, but didn't love it. It felt like it lulled in certain places. It also felt, I don't know, the guy definitely had insta lust, whatever it was. But this is a wide choose fantasy romance set in an academy, and at this academy, it's like a TV show. This is a reality TV show where they get followed around. There's cameras everywhere for the next few years as they learn to hone and omegas, I believe. And then there's one more. FMC is whatever the last type of thing is. And she is one of a kind. They're rare to find. I cannot remember what she is for the life of me, but she has to get used to living life on as this rare being in this world. I picked up this series strictly because I was looking for a wide choose, and someone recommended this to me. This girl has 10 mates. 2 of them are professors. This is going to be an interesting one. It's a 6 book series. I have book 2 downloaded. I don't know when I'll get to it because it's not a priority for me. Maybe if I read book 2 and I really enjoy it, then I'll make it a priority. But right now, I'll read book 2 whenever I want. It's just not going to happen right now. The next book that I read in the month was another start of a series that I actually continued on later in the month, and that is Broken Bonds by Jay Bree. This is the first book in the Bonsai Tai series. I believe I read the series originally in 2023 or 2024, somewhere in there, and I read all 6 books, and I was really enjoyed it. I was still in my White Shoes romance, fantasy romance era, as you can see, because this is a White Shoes fantasy romance. You are following Damn, what is her name? I'm just forgetting all the FMC's names. It'll come back to me at some point, I hope. But you're following her FMC. She has been on the run for literally all of her life. When she finally gets taken in by her mates, by her bonded, as they call them, and they want to know why she ran, why she's been running all these years, what happened to her, why has she been running away from them, what's going on. But she's refusing to tell them, and she's trying to actually strategize and get away from them because she has some powerful magic. And there is some resistance after her and all the bonded groups out there, but especially if they find out what she can do, it puts everybody at risk. I really enjoyed the series. It's not perfect by any means necessary. It's not top tier, god tier for me, but it's a good time to listen to. I am listening to an audiobook. I literally started this, got 67% of the way through with it in one day. I read this in 24 hours, basically. I finished it the next day. That's how good it was. It kind of shocked me, but I digress. The next book that I read was Accidental Assassin. This is volume 1 in this new graphic novel series that's going to come out. It's originated on a webtoon, which I'm a lover of webtoon. If you know anything about me, I love a good webtoon story. So this is an arc actually I got from NetGalley, so thank you NetGalley for the arc. This does not come out until August, but I wanted to get back into my art, man. So I put NetGalley back on my iPad. I have a couple other arcs on there right now, actually, that I really need to get to. So that should be a priority for July. But in this one, you're following our FMC who works a normal, regular 9 to 5 office job when one night she's working late and discovers some nefarious things going on and she walks upon a dead body. And so instead of running, she ends up fighting these guys who are in this building. And so this assassin league, I forgot what they're called, decides they want to take her in and train her to be an assassin because she has the natural instincts to be an assassin. And so she has to team up with this guy who doesn't really want a partner, but he's being forced to have a partner. And so we follow them on this new journey. I really liked it. It's very good. I still enjoyed it. I gave it a solid 4-star read, 4-star rating, but it's like nothing. I don't want to say it's nothing new, but I feel like it can get better as it goes on. The next one, we can all give me a pat on the back for because I finally finished reading this. I think I started this in April, and I'm just now finishing it in June. And that is Carval by Stephanie Garber. This has been sitting on my currently reading shelf on both Fable and Goodreads since April. I think during that 4-year readathon that covers with Cassidy, Mel, and somebody, 2 other people that I can't think of the names of right now off the top of my head were hosting. I picked that up in that vlog and I read 30, 40 pages of it or so. I read the first couple chapters. I didn't get very far into it. But in June, I finally decided to pick it up and listen to the audiobook of it and finish it. And I actually still really enjoyed it. I am giving it a low 3-star, like a 3.25, 3.5. I'm still kind of unsettled on the rating, really. But in this book, you were following Scarlet. Her one and only dream has always been go to Carval one last time before she gets married or before she moves on with life. And so when she's been sending letters for years and years now, she finally got a response and she finally ends up getting letters and an invitation to go to Carval. The only issue is her father has set her up on an arranged marriage and she's set to get married in 10 days. And Carval takes place over 5 or 6 nights, I believe. And so we follow Scarlet as she travels to Carval, or more kidnapped and taken to Carval against her will by her sister Tella and Julian. And once she gets there, she realizes that this game is a lot more than she thought it was going to be because this year's game is to find her sister Tella. The plot twist got me. It really did. I was not expecting that. I tabbed the hell out of this book because there were so many things happening. I just had to tab it. There were so many little quotes in here that I really liked. The romance is one of my favorite parts. The plot was slow moving. If you watch my review on TikTok, I review full 3-4 minute review of talking about this book. I basically said the first 100 pages of this felt like Stephanie Garber put the edge pieces of a puzzle together, and then the rest of the book was filling in the puzzle till it all made sense and we got the big picture. Like I said, 3.25, 3.5, still very unsettled, but I digress. Next book that I read in June was Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. Me and one of my best friends are doing a buddy read of the Maas versus Sarah J. Maas universe, which I start with Throne of Glass because it is the longest series with the most amount of books. We know that Crescent City is the length of all 8 books combined into 3 books. We're well aware that they're all over 600, maybe even 700 pages. We're aware, but let us be delusional a little bit. It has to go with the longest in length first books in the series first, and so we have done a reread of Color Midnight. I think we're actually get take them. See, that's why you should have done that. See. As I was saying before my brother rudely interrupted me, we're about reading this and we read this, although it feels like a very much a filler book and we could have combined this with another book. I still really enjoyed it. It is a solid 4-star. I give it 4 stars every time around. It will never be a 5-star in my eyes just because I don't like KO. Now, listen. Have I read Tower of Dawn? Have I finished the series ever? No. But at this point in the series, I don't like KO because what do you mean she's an assassin and you're shocked that she's unaliving people even though she's an assassin? Make it make sense. But this is takes place at the events of book 1 and the character death in here really freaking got me, bro. It tore me up like it does every single time. But I'm enjoying my reread of this because I technically remember barely anything about this series, very little about it. So enjoying this reread with her is very well worth it. We're not trying to be caught up by the time ACOTAR 6 and 7 gets out, but we want to at least be halfway through the Throne of Glass series, maybe even starting. We don't know. We'll see what happens though. The next few things I read were the next 3 volumes in One Piece I need to read, which are volume 7, 8, and 9. If you volume 9 is called Tears, and I did cry. I did. I sure freaking did. I cried my little butt off there with tomorrow. 5 stars all across the board, 7, 8, and 9. I can't really tell you much, but in this manga, we are following Monkey D. Luffy, who set out to become the king of the pirates and find the One Piece. And so we follow him through the East Blue Saga right now as he gathers his crew, makes his own crew, so he can get on to whatchamacallit. I can't think of the name of the sea that they're going to, but I read those. I'm slowly making my way through. I actually have started watching episode 1 of the live action. So even though I haven't read volume 12 yet, but I was like, I might as well start because I'm so far into it now that I can go ahead and start it. And I won't be doing the anime. It's just the anime is a bit more a feat because there's so many episodes. The next thing that I read in the month was The Wolf King by Lauren Palferman. I think that's how you say her name. This is the first book in the Wolf King trilogy. The 3rd book comes out later this year. So I'm trying to be caught up with this series by the time that comes out. Fingers crossed I will. I already have the Night Prince on hold on my Libby. So hopefully by the time book 3 comes out, I will have read book 2. But I've heard really good things about this one, and I still really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.75. I just don't think it was quite a 4. But in this book, you are following our FMC. She is the princess of these lands, and she is arranged to marry this lord who is very aggressive and hates wolves. And he has a fighting ring for the wolves they capture. When one of the alphas catches her attention, and she goes down to the dungeons where they keep the wolves and helps one of the weaker wolves after fighting in the fighting ring. I'm sorry, she's in the way. And so he plans a coup and basically escapes and takes her with her, although she typically volunteers to go. She willingly goes with them, and she goes to the Wolflands to learn more about the wolves and why they were in the castle in the first place and what they wanted there in the first place. Basically, they want this thing that will help them transform when there's not just a full moon, so that way they can finally put an end to this war against the wolves and the humans. Like I said, I felt like this book kicked off with a bang. It kicked off with a bang, and then we got stagnant, and it was slow moving. Nothing was happening. We were following her in little bitty everyday life things while she was with the wolf pack, and then we finally picked up again, and I was like, oh, I am Team Blake. I said what I said. I haven't even read book 2 yet. I heard that's when Blake really gets his time to shine is book 2, but just based off the crumbs we got of him in book 1. Also, there seems to be something ingenuine about Callum, and I don't know what it is. The next book that I read was the new 5-star favorite of mine, and that is Nocticadia by Carrie Lake. Now, listen, I've been looking for a good gothic queen, and I think I may have found her because this is my first Carrie Lake book, and I gave it 5 stars. And like just like Fate. And that Nocticadia, you are following our FMC as she gets into this school called Dracadia University, where someone studied the disease that basically killed her mom. And she's always been wondering how and why she got this disease. And so she takes this opportunity to go to Dracadia University to meet the teacher, the professor who is doing this, and to learn more about the disease that killed her mom. And this professor is smoking hot and has never had feelings for anybody. But then she comes around and she softens into the heart. Y'all, the gothic, dark academia vibes of this whole thing, immaculate. Now, was this with the little gruesome? Yeah, because the disease has worms, and hearing about the worms kind of grossed me out a little bit here and there. But besides that, it was still good. Is this book long? Yes. But do I feel like every single page was needed? Yes. Also, this is a slow burn romance. The way by the time we were 50% in, our FMC and MMC had maybe 2 interactions at 50% in. I had such a fun time with this one. I will be reading more Carrie Lake. Doubt about it, Carrie Lake, my queen that you are. I give me more. I need more. I do. I do need to put a hold on Anathema or either just get on Everend because I also have Everend. But I will be getting a physical copy to annotate because oh my god. Like I said, 5 stars. I have not stopped thinking about this book since I finished it. If you're wondering, yes, Nala is sitting right here. Everything here and now is what we get into my 48-hour readathon. I did not finish any other books after my 48-hour readathon. I definitely slowed down in reading a little bit, but I'm about to get back into reading more now because I'm going to try and finish my continuing series vlog and some other things. But I digress. So the first book we finished in that vlog was The Ritual by Chantal Tessier. I actually bought this from a coworker because I like to read smut. And here is a sentence I never thought I would be saying. This was entirely too much smut. This book is 531 pages long. We could have cut out a solid 200 pages of this if we didn't have as much smut as we did. I love a good dark romance, but this like a bit much. And I know I'm saying that as if I don't have Haunting and Hunting Adeline behind me. I'm aware. But those have less smut in them. Those 2 books combined have less smut in them than this whole book combined. It felt like every chapter we were getting down and dirty and naked in the bed and dancing in the bed together. It was a lot, and I could not handle it. I ended up giving it a 3 star. In this book, you are following Riot, who is a lord. I forgot what that stands for. And he has his chosen one, who is Blakely. And we just follow them. I'm just gonna give you that, nothing else, because I knew nothing about this book, zero zilch going into it. I didn't even read the back of it. I do that with 90% of my books, so do with that what you will. The next book I finished in that vlog was Savage Bond, which is book 2 in the Bonds That Die series. This is definitely better than book 1. I feel like we had a lot more character development, relationship development within the Bond group itself, and we see Ollie growing to trust her Bond more and more. We have 2 specifically, Atlas and Gabe, who she is really leaning into, but you can also see where she's leaning into it with Griffin, another one of her bonds, and that just made me so happy. She's still on edge about North and Knox, which I completely understand. But if I remember anything about the series, I remember loving North. Like North was my baby. Once Knox got over his bullshit, excuse my language, I actually started to love him too. But the one thing that I definitely feel like it's being dragged on is our FMC keeping secrets from them. I know they come to light in book 3, and book 3 becomes multi POV as well. So I feel like that will help me settle in more into the story. I feel like books 1 and 2 should have also been POV with all the bonds, but I can see why the author Jay Bray decided to not do that with every book, especially the first two books, as we see Ollie kind of falling more into her bonds. And Ollie! I remembered her name. Oleander. I don't know how I remembered that. Wow, I digress though. The next book I read, I feel like it was only right because in my 48-hour readathon, I read the first book in the series, and so in this 48-hour readathon, I did the next book in the series, and that is The Housemaid Secret by Frida McFadden. This is book 2, following The Housemaid. I can give you a synopsis on this. This is basically following Millie a few years later. I don't really remember how many years later, but we're following her a few years later as she gets a job in this penthouse for this family, just cleaning and cooking for them on the occasion, or this husband and wife. It's not a family, it's a husband and wife. When things come to light, as the Mrs. Garrick, the wife, she has never seen her, and so she's always wondering why she's holed up in the room with some strange sickness. Things come to light, things are brought out, things are learned. We get into the nitty gritty of what Millie does best. This book this one I enjoyed slightly less than book one. I ended up giving this one a solid 4 star, while book one was a 4.5 star. I still really enjoyed it. I do know that book three is everybody's least favorite and they don't feel a point in it, but I still really enjoyed this one. Had a good time with it. Definitely recommend this. I am becoming a thriller person. I will be reading more thrillers because I need more. Why wasn't I with the game? I don't know, but now I have another genre to break up all the dark romance and fantasy romance that I read. The next book that I read was another continuation of a series. I'm really proud of myself. I'm trying to be better about continuing series, although looking at the list of series I have started but not continued this year, Defend the Dawn by book I read. I listened to this fully on audio, like I did the first book, and oh my goodness, the way things have spiced up, and now we have characters who are going to be, without spoiling too much, we're basically gonna have characters, 3 POVs that we have. We're gonna have 3 POVs. There's no reason why we shouldn't, because we're gonna have 3 people, 3 main characters in 3 different spots. And so we gotta figure out how we're gonna get back together. This book shocked me. I did enjoy it slightly less than another one that it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible, but you can definitely feel the second book syndrome coming in. With this one, I still give it a very good 4 star rating. I still really enjoyed it, but I have a feeling book 5 might be a 5 star. And if not a 5 star, a very high 4, because I love these characters, and I can definitely now say that Bridget Kimmerer, she's on my auto by author list now. I decided to confirm it by reading a sequel of hers because I needed to read more than just the first book in 2 series to determine that, and I really will determine it once I finish the series. But after this, phenomenal. The last 80 pages of her books are always high action, intense. Nothing was different for this one. Now, I read next up was volumes 10 and 11. I read both of these in that same weekend. Her and her sister are about to start fighting, and I don't want her butt in my face and she back up and knock something over. I'd be real mad. But I read volumes 10 and 11 of One Piece in that vlog as well. I should have read volume 12, but I didn't. I'll read it this month and just read 10 volumes this month. But I still really enjoyed this book. Volume 10 was a 4.5, while volume 11 was a 5. I'm actually really excited for volume 12. We finally stopped dividing, and we're actually about to get onto, what is it? I can't think. Whatever the sea is, I don't remember. They're about to hit the Grand Line. That's what it is. I couldn't think of that for the life of me for whatever reason. They're about to hit the Grand Line, but they're stocking up on supplies and stuff. They have the basics of a crew. They have a navigator, they have a swordsman, they have a cook, they have a captain, and then they have Usopp. I don't know what we would call Usopp. He's Usopp. That's my little baby. That's my little liar. I love him. But I did read these two. And then I ended up my month finishing off this book, which kind of disappointed me because I remember the first time reading it a few years back and I really enjoyed it. And that's the Inheritance Games. And then that's a 3.5. I just didn't like it this much around. I think it's because I have now fully read the Natural series and I connected to the characters of the Natural series so much. A lot. It's kind of scary how much I felt for these characters back here Whereas I don't feel as much for these ones because they're rich. Except for Libby. Not Libby. What's her name? Avery, except for Avery. But she's now rich too, so I don't relate to her or these characters as much anyways. But in this one, you're following Avery as she basically inherits this whole man's fortune, life fortune. I mean, she's never met him before. Never. Well, no, I won't spoil it for you. Never met this man before. Ever in her life. And he just left his whole inheritance to her. He has 4 grandsons, 2 daughters, a mom who's still alive, and he left everything to Avery. So now we have to figure out why he left everything to Avery. That's literally what this book is. But it just felt, I don't know. This one doesn't pull me in as much as the next. And I don't know though whether that was me being slumped out by the end of this readathon. No, because I still was wanting to read other things. I think it was definitely just a book. And that right there, besties, is everything that I read in the month of June. I feel like June was a really good reading month for me. It wasn't good in the terms of rating much because I didn't have star reads, but I still enjoyed everything I read. I didn't DNF anything. I haven't DNF anything in a couple months. I am liable to DNF a book that I have here with me, sitting on my bed currently. But we don't need to talk about that. If you have read any of these books, let me know down below. I don't know how long this video is because I have started using my back camera to record. Hopefully the quality is better. Hopefully we like this better. I feel like I like it better. The quality that I have seen come out of this has been a little bit better. But that's everything I read in June, which I feel accomplished. I'm at 81 books out of 120. I did up my goal to 120, and I still feel like that's too low because I feel like I'm gonna hit 150 by the end of the year. But I digress. Let me go because they're about to be loud, and I don't need that. So I hope you have a great day, evening, night, morning, afternoon, whatever the world you're having it in. Link down below will be my link tree. Not sponsored, by the way. Will be my link tree with all my links to everything you need. So my TikTok, Goodreads, Fable, all of that will be linked down below for you in my link tree. But with that being said, I will see you guys in my next video, which I think is every book I've read so far, which we got 81 books to fucking talk about. So, but yeah. Bye!